Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but man's keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I don't think that we have ever started a Greg Cody Tuesday quite this way, where he's coming in a bit rattled, I would say, because Hee Haw 3 has taken off. He has now declined tour dates.
Wow.
Hee Haw 3 had a paid gig as musicians to tour, expenses paid, turned it down. They're too busy. They're not accommodating requests right now. Greg Cody's in high demand. And he wants his intellectual property, and he's caused a problem at the company, and he doesn't understand the problem he's caused. We'll get to that in a second. He's confused.
You're talking in riddles. I don't cause problems. I solve them.
Right. All right. Well, David Sampson insists on coming on because he says you've, violated company policy.
Known problem solver.
David Sampson. What's his title with the company?
Right. Good question.
Well, he runs the merch store.
Does he?
Yeah.
Is there an apron on and he's a salesman in a retail store? How does that work exactly?
You have salesmen in retail stores wearing aprons.
Yeah,
Home Depot.
Aprons.
Yeah.
Home Depot,
an
Macy's.
orange apron, right?
Yeah.
Of course, bring back retail.
Macy's?
Yeah, Macy's, the perfume counter. They have aprons and stuff.
Right.
They
The
put things in
cosmetic.
Exactly right.
They sure do.
What's wrong with cosmetics?
Yeah. What's wrong with aprons?
Exactly right.
All right. So, but he doesn't understand that part of it. That's one thing you don't understand.
Okay.
He also doesn't understand that I told him before the show, there is something your son did last week that was very wrong, and you would have been proud of it.
Wow. That's hard to believe. What is it? What'd you do, kid?
I took time off.
As the
He
guy
had to go to New York.
Yeah, but let me tell some people the backstory. He had to go to New York. Mike Ryan had just left his position as executive producer. Company was in a lurch. One day to the next, Chris Cody shouts, "Hey, got to go to New York." And everyone's learning of it, and the company goes into a ditch with your son in charge.
I'd call it 1 week to the next, but you can call it one day to the next.
Well, it was a problem. It created a problem for the executive producer who had left with much fanfare, getting his father's music career off the ground. And 3 days later, Mike Ryan's stuck in the same job he's always in because Chris Cody shirked his responsibilities to go to New York.
But Chris Cody is back, and Mike Ryan's still here.
He's still here. Is that Mike or is that a hologram?
Sounds like great leverage for Chris. He left for 2 days and everything fell into a ditch.
Right.
I mean,
and that's at some
pulled
point
out,
it's a you problem
what do we
if this is the guy you're looking at to hold everything together. I mean,
Yeah.
look
George
at this.
Washington.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Father of
He
our
does
country.
look like George Washington today, but that's not George Washington. It's Larry David. And
What?
Yes. It's a good Larry David. It's visually funny. And I was about to come in here today enraged because nobody did the costumes. I've got Nacho Libre under my arm. And I'm like, no, why will no one pay their punishments? I come in furious and I ask, Stugotz, does he have to pay any punishments? And they say, nope, he's all paid up. He kept getting the golden helmet. He owes nothing. All his punishments are paid. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He's paid 3 in 5 years. One time he's just put on a sweatshirt like Rocky, like he doesn't pay any of his punishments.
You got the costume. I was Rocky that day. Yes.
All paid up. Stugotz is all paid up. I come in here, Nacho Libre, and as I'm ready to yell at Chris Cody, hey, who's in charge, Chris? Chris, are you in charge? Child of nepotism. You can't skip work when we need you to be executive producer as we're trying to figure out who the executive producer would be. And this part, Greg Cody, should offend you as an old-timey businessman. If we opened up the job of executive producer to this show, to the media crumbling around us, to anyone in the United States, the line would stretch from here to Dallas on people who want to sit in that seat to run the show so that they could come after Mike and respect all the things we've built around here. Your son flew to New York to do what? To do what? Something that made Stugotz proud, which is not the way Meadowlark should be run.
He did what he had to do, Dano. He did what anyone in his situation would have done.
Okay, so explain this part to the audience. Explain this part. No, because I found out about this, and this is with the doubly offensive part. Doubly offensive. While executive producer, he's flying to New York because he's got, this is very Miami, because he's got to go see about some cash.
Kish.
Because he's the big winner when it comes to a pool of people.
Yeah, $500 pool. Like, Dan, you're making a little something out of nothing here.
Yeah, a little bit, just to get some cash.
$500 means more to some people than you, Dan. Like,
Right.
You don't even have to report that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd report $500 if I was you.
I report every cent.
Same here.
All right, so
we've said too much.
Does everyone? No, not enough. Not quite enough yet. No, because this is my predicament, Greg Cody, who spawned this child of nepotism over here, who just stumbling his way into executive producer.
Right. Anytime you need somebody to fill in as the executive producer, I'm there for you.
I would love.
I would love for you to be our executive producer.
Fantastic.
I really would.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Teach me how to run the board and press what buttons when, and I'm there.
Please try this, Dan.
You think so? You guys think that would go well?
Yeah.
Lucy's saying yes. Put Greg Cody in charge as executive producer today.
Yeah.
Switch seats.
Just show me where the Hakeem's laugh button is, and I'm good. That's all I need to know.
We try to find that
you
thing.
think that seat's easy?
No, I'm kidding, of course. It's very difficult. Christopher makes it look easy, and he's got big shoes to follow in Mike Ryan. What size shoe do you wear, Mike?
12.
Yeah, see? Big shoes to follow.
Mike, where are you on all of this? Because I brought this to air against your will. I didn't mean to do this to you, but I'm, storming in.
We talked about it before I said I didn't want to, and you still did it. So you didn't mean to. It's the very definition of you meaning to is premeditated. I don't want to discuss it because I was genuinely hurt by it. I found out that I was sitting in that chair, a chair that I thought I said goodbye to a week prior. I found out about it the night before. Yeah. I had a babysitter. I had to cut my night short because I found out as a surprise Chris Cody was off to New York doing something that I think he probably could have done during the weekend and not miss shows. But that's okay. Like, that's his prerogative. I'm not here to PTO shame. I think I was more hurt than anything because I've spent 18 years trying to build that position into something desirable. And we haven't prioritized looking outside for a candidate. We're hoping that someone internally ascends and wants it, and
Greg,
to have a situation where I'm being surprised that I have to sit into it because the communication is such that someone decides. And I understand why it's a solid reason, but I would have thought that chair meant more, so I was a little hurt by it.
You just got to check the schedule a little bit more.
I did.
It was
check
not the day
schedule.
before.
No, I found out about it the day before because there was an email on Sunday that had talent schedule, and I came in on days that I wasn't scheduled for. I had to cancel meetings, but it's fine. At the heart of it, I was just genuinely hurt that this wasn't being treated as the opportunity I thought it would be after all the hard work that I put into it.
Chris, it seems like you told somebody though, right? Like someone before, the night before you left. Like you told someone a week ago. They did
right.
I don't.
Right.
Was
they
it a
didn't
week?
communicate it to Mike.
Was
right.
it what? I think it's not the issue that
The week before was Super Bowl week. It was crazy. We're all coming back. Everyone's drunk for 3 days.
the communication, like whatever. I found out the night before I cut my night short. That's fine. That's not a big deal. To me, the part that hurt was this is an opportunity, and it's not being treated as such.
The opportunity to replace someone that isn't gone.
Or go pick up some quiche.
Well,
It was a good excuse.
okay, but no, this part of it.
I mean, if you want to do the theater of the mind stuff, like we know what's going on here, and I think it's a pretty cool opportunity. And
Sure it
quite
is.
honestly, like I was hurt by it, and now I'll just prioritize looking at outside candidates.
but child of nepotism here is in charge today, and he does look like George Washington. You do look more like a founding father than Larry David, right? And is it the size of your jowls? Is that what's happening here? I don't.
Ooh.
Is that it's more
George
powdered,
Dub?
more powdered wig than cul-de-sac?
You tell me what it is, man. I looked in the mirror and I just like ran away. I was like, nope, don't like this.
Generally, when you impersonate a Larry David, you do it without a beard.
You got to shave. Go shave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Commit.
got to go all the way on an impersonation.
Billy, why were you laughing at Greg as he limped into the studio?
Laugh is, I don't know that that's the right word. Greg's injured. He's playing hurt today. He hurt his knee. It's not my place to put his business out there, but I heard what happened, and it sounded like a trying tale of what happened, how he hurt himself. And did I giggle? Maybe the way he described it, possibly. But we should be commending him for not just being here playing hurt, but also volunteering to step in his son's absence on the days his son can't be in that chair.
Lucy,
if anything, he's a great team player here.
You, Billy.
That I feel like, if I understood right what's going on here, he's being set up to be massacred shortly by David Sampson, which I don't understand. I really don't.
I don't massacre easily.
Yeah.
I'm taller than Samson.
Yeah.
I could beat him in arm wrestling. He doesn't intimidate me.
Really?
He's a nice dresser,
It's
though.
going to be a
I mean, he
physical
looks
fight.
sharp.
Really, a physical fight.
I would like the idea of
Physical fight.
whatever this dispute comes down to being settled by an arm wrestling contest. I feel
Bring
like
it.
that's fair.
Samson's a rabid spider monkey.
What?
He will climb up your arm and he
What?
will break your arm in pursuit of the things that he wants.
He's never broken an arm.
He could beat me in a marathon.
You
I'll
think
give him that.
you think you could beat David Sampson in arm wrestling?
Did you not see what happened to AJ Burnett?
Pierce
What
Nipples,
happened?
AJ Burnett.
AJ
Not
Burnett
surprising.
Arm wrestled Samson.
If you said to me, baseball player from your past that has pierced nipples, AJ Burnett, first name.
Why would anyone say that to you?
It'd be a weird thing to say, but it'd be the first name I'd say back.
You would have an answer, though. You would have an answer. If it came up.
Like, how would that come up? Exactly.
Number
So
two,
someone-
Dallas Braden.
Someone comes up to George Washington and says, "Name a baseball
What do you-
player."
I mean,
Pierce Nipples.
You would be like, why would someone do that? You're walking down the street as George Washington, and someone comes to you aggressively and says, "Name a baseball player, Pierce Nipples," and you go straight to the '90s. AJ Burnett.
AJ Burnett.
It's a random category right there.
Is there a Hall of Fame here? Why are you thinking about these things?
It's a Jeopardy category.
I think it's the tattoos. It connotes nipple ring.
If Jeopardy ever has a category of baseball players with pierced nipples,
How great would
things
that
have
be?
fallen off.
AJ Burnett would be like 100.
Daily double.
I don't understand what you're doing, though. Speaking of, I just want to explain to the audience something, Stugotz, because some people here who have listened to us nationally might not know the story of the Florida Panthers and Steve Goldstein and when a voice for a team becomes really a voice for a team during a cool time. Somebody who, when you're hearing his enthusiasm on calls, many of you who grew up with him in the Panthers organization, are hearing your emotion carried with him, and you've watched for long enough to see him become a really excellent broadcaster, like sculpt the skill. Hockey's tough, man. That is a fast sport. And he is clean. No one's got any objections to how Steve Goldstein has mastered his craft, and he's done it 20 years in this market, as hockey has been like a pretty shitty thing for most of those years. And to see him carry that call, let's get that call for Roy and Mike, because they weren't here yesterday when we played it the first time. What a cool moment at the end of this Washington game. Not just to have it end this way when you know you've got the best team. They're playing all the most fun hockey. Everyone in the sport hates them, but they're exciting, and now they're yours. And the call's coming to you from a grassroots broadcaster who's flying down the ice with you and taking your enthusiasm with him.
Milano, stripped away by Gustav Forsling. Milano again, stripped away by Sam Bennett. The Panthers try to win it. It's Bennett. It's Forsling. Let's go home, baby! Gus wins it in overtime.
It's musically perfect because of all the history it carries down the ice with it.
The other thing that Goldie does, and he does it so well, because you mentioned he's been calling games for this team, and this team has been lousy for a long time, and Goldie's been right there for it. So what you're hearing in his voice the last couple of years is a guy who has been there with you, with the fans, through the downtimes, and now is having a blast calling games for this team, because this team is fun, they're young, they're exciting, and he gives that off with every single broadcast.
But he comes from old-timey sports radio in this market when all these guys were kids, and they all grew up with him in this market. Like, it's hard to get out of this market into the national mainstream, and he's done it because he's excellent, and the enthusiasm around this team is real. And I was just curious with Roy and with Mike, you hear that and feel what?
Even before he got the Panthers gig, I worked on his weekend show at 790 The Ticket. This is back when he had hair. He had hair at the time. So to see him, so to see him making these highlight calls like this is just like
It's like watching your kid grow up.
Well, I mean,
Did you just become
10 years
Goldie's
older than I am.
dad somehow? Like, what's happening here? I remember when I saw young Goldie every Saturday morning on Sports Bang, and I said, this guy's destined for greatness.
I mean, Roy has been a local observer of Miami sports media more than most, I think. Like that he's actually viewed Goldstein's career from the bowels of next to Stugotz in sports radio.
Literally worked with him.
I recall when I was a wet behind the ears high school graduate that attended a job fair hosted by the Florida Panthers, and then became a sales intern, hopped up on AIM Instant Messenger and New Metal, going to what at the time was the NCRC and seeing Steve Goldstein, who at the time was just an in-arena host giving out-of-town updates, and he would just always be around. He was a grinder that wanted that job from pretty close to the franchise's inception. He's really worked on his craft. He's improved, made a lot of leaps, has also in recent years added a signature call that you've seen there. He's a testament to hard work in this market, because that is very much just hanging around and grinding. He has survived several different administrations over there at the Florida Panthers.
Nobody survives all of those administrations. Like, nobody does. It's hard for – look, forgive me, Mike. You know that organization better than I do, but there's so much turnover there through ownerships that there's always a new grift in town coming to try and make that franchise work. And the last crew now has the best crew, and they're trying to build something different. This is not an organization of lifers. One of the things I want to point out about last night, like the Heat win again, okay, Stugotz on the road 4 in a row. They do it at Sacramento, and Bam says to everybody, nah, it's a bonus. Like, no, I'm better at this than you are. The Heat, with whatever they throw at you, do something that is taken for granted in this market. They always matter. Sacramento, look at their past. They're never any good. You don't get to go through administrations always being relevant. When Stephen A. Smith is going back and forth with the Pelicans and he's saying, in 22 years, you guys have won 2 playoff series. Like, it is hard to do what the Heat do with whoever it is that they have. And I'm watching the Panthers come into this sphere and be something exciting from Broward that's different, but that's not a crew of lifers. That's not a crew like the Heat's crew is a Heat crew.
Well, on the broadcast, certainly they are. Moeller and Goldstein, I would dub as Panther lifers. Red Deer was brought in very early on in the franchise history. Goldie was around for, decades at this point. So the broadcast team has absolutely grown up with you, and I think that they do.
On both teams, by the way.
But with a franchise that has so little history, at least in the broadcast booth, you have people that you know have been with this franchise for the vast majority of their professional careers, and they truly love it, and it shows in the broadcast, I think.
Greg, Cody get moved by this stuff?
I do. Goldstein has paid his dues in this market, worked his way up, and I want the voice of my team to be honest at all times. Like when the team sucks, I want the play-by-play guy or the voice of the team to reflect that, to reflect how the fans are feeling. And right now the Panthers are the best they've ever been and the best in the league. And I want a Homer voice at this time in Panthers history. I want that.
You want Steve Goldstein.
Yes, I want that because it reflects how great this team has become.
Did Goldie die?
No.
I just thought it was a cool call.
Yeah.
Great call.
It's
yes.
good. Let's
2
go
days
home,
ready
baby.
to go.
You know what
And
he
for
has?
Forsling to bounce back from that injury, so cool.
He has a great hockey voice.
Yeah.
He does.
Chucky's back tonight, by the way.
Nothing worse than watching a hockey game with a guy calling the game who doesn't have a great hockey voice.
He doesn't have this classic hockey voice, though.
No.
He's got a very unique voice for play-by-play, especially in that sport. And he is a South Florida guy. So it's really cool. And I think he's risen to the level of getting close to national prominence. I seen over the last few years, him get the occasional national gig.
He's called multiple Olympics on the radio.
Yeah.
Am I missing something
Goldie's
here?
gang.
Doesn't when you ask about Steve, you're asking about an accent. There's some New York in his accent.
Yes.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's been down here in South Florida for, 30-plus years at this point?
But to be a voice in hockey, there aren't that many of them, right? These are cool broadcasting jobs. Like, I don't know if people have been noticing also locally, Jorge Sedano is now learning the craft of how to do play-by-play all over the place because he wants to be versatile as the media changes. Like, to ride one of these rockets as a broadcaster, you get to go along for the ride in a way that also helps you economically. More people are hearing you. They're listening to your story. They start to know your story. You develop a connection with the team. Oh, this guy rides with them from there, the same way Eric Reed rides with the Heat from back there, where he slices Doc Rivers the other day with, it's a lot easier talking under the headsets, Doc Rivers, as you coach the Bucks, giving your opinions. Eric Reed saying that slices more because you know it's a voice that is courteous and decent, but also just slaughterhouse Homer. Like slaughterhouse Homer. Like, okay, we're going to ride this, and you don't like our team? We'll ride the magical carpet ride of Eric Reed and Steve Goldstein are going to gallop into the galaxy being Homerific for the rest of your lives.
Unless you're Trip Tracy of the Carolina Hurricanes, who wants to celebrate Matthew Tkachuk getting yanked from a game because of injury. Disgusting display. And his apology, if you can call it that, wasn't really one at all. He set a really bad example for the youth of America.
Hockey broadcaster.
Yeah, well, I got the memory of an elephant, Mr. Tracy.
Stugotz once called Mike Greenberg Goldie.
I do like that idea, Goldie. Goldie. Greedy. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
It was
Kind of a name is Trip.
I can't believe we smuggled that sound away from ESPN that it wasn't so valuable to them.
I do like that idea, Goldie. Goldie. Greedy. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
That's our intellectual property. We smuggled it away. That's Stugotz on ESPN.
Why did I stop and explain?
Goldie.
Because you couldn't believe you were tap dancing with Goldberg. Those were the heights. Those were the heights of.
I was tap dancing with Greeny. That's a fun.
Goldberg.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Goldberg, Goldstein,
Goldberg.
Greenberg, Goldberg. A lot going on there for you, Dano.
The hammer.
Hammer time.
I do like that idea, Goldie. Goldie. Greedy. I like the idea. I have a friend named Goldie. I called you Goldie.
Kicked Bret Hart in the head, ended his career.
Yeah.
Reckless wrestler had appeared.
Bill Goldberg.
Fake Stone Cold Steve
I
Austin.
love my favorite thing in pro wrestling is how much Bret Hart hates Bill Goldberg. He even insists on calling him Bill Goldberg because he knows he hates that instead of just Goldberg. Got kicked in the head by Bill Goldberg. Cost me $17 million.
What's the matter, Dan? You got Hank confused with
I
Greedy,
know.
Goldie
I'm
confused
sorry.
with.
Yes, that's what's the matter. That's all.
It happens.
That
man.
I know, but that's so. I've got a fine on Goldberg.
$35. I counted 7 fines. Are you really digging into your wallet? You still have a wallet. Look at you.
So, Greg, you're about to go up head-to-head with Samson in a couple minutes, right? Are you prepared? Like, what, Dan, what advice can you give him? Because I feel like he's being set
Billy,
up for a blindside
no, help me
here.
out
You
here.
know
Thank
what's
you, Billy.
going on, but Greg doesn't.
Right.
You have the information here.
No,
You're leading him to a slaughter.
I don't know what's going on. I've asked Chris. Samson's insisted on coming on because we've got a legitimate problem on our hands, and I don't know the depths of it. Chris, do you? Because Samson insists on coming on to talk to Greg about it on air.
I just got a text. I need to come on tomorrow. It's business.
Wow.
And
Nothing personal.
He didn't even say nothing personal. He was just like, business. Got to talk to your dad.
Wait
I was
and
like,
see.
okay, 927. Like, I don't know more than that.
Why don't you just call him? Like, you guys could call each other.
I don't know what the allegation is. I have no idea.
Greg, I will say this. Regardless of the allegations, I side with you.
Thank you.
Okay?
I appreciate that.
I don't need a single detail. I side with Greg
Thank
Cody.
you.
Can we
Well,
decide this based on vote?
I think
Like,
we
if
should.
not arm wrestling, can votes decide how this ends? It is election season, Dan.
Sure, but what is that going to prove to anybody?
I mean,
Nothing. You're in charge, so we just ask you, can we decide it via votes?
I mean, it depends on what the accusation is.
Yes.
John Rocker would also be on my list.
Pierce nipples?
Billy, I have a concern here as we onboard David Sampson here shortly because I've got a problem. Like, we run the company, but Sampson runs the merch store. I said last week, and this is genuine, what Greg did to me didn't feel terribly fair, where he's texting me, hey, I want to put merch up on my store. Give me an answer. I just want to make sure it's cleared. My people are worried, but I'm just checking in. What should I do? And 27 hours later, I said, check with our COO. And then he said, nope, ship sailed. I already did it. And now things are for sale. And now I've got a problem where David Sampson's bothering me with shit I don't want to worry about because LeBatardAF.com is just a little place that was meant to pay some employees some extras, and it's turned into this ugly thing that's now run like a business.
But Greg was asking you. He wanted a quick answer. He made that very clear. 27 hours later does not work for Greg Cody.
Yeah, evidently not fast enough.
COB, Dan.
Got to be more prompt.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's what happened, and we'll bring on David Sampson in just a second.
A what?
A second. Thank
Okay.
you, Roy. But Billy, Greg has had his foot up on the table in one of these rotten boat shoes that is
Deck shoes.
same from the 1980s. This is a new one. He finally got rid of the ones that were you buried in the backyard.
Right.
What were those? How old were those?
Oh, those were from the 70s, I think.
Deck Cody.
Yeah. Deck and Deckel. But I have new ones that I got for Christmas, but I can't bear to part with these. So I haven't even begun breaking in the new ones yet.
But what's
these are
happening?
so dear
What's
to me.
happening with your leg? Because Billy was laughing at the way you limped in because you weren't even talking bowling injury. You came in saying, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to make bowling."
Well, no, questionable. He hasn't ruled himself
questionable.
out yet.
Right.
Day to day.
I'll throw a practice frame to see how it feels. When I tweaked my left hamstring, you couldn't, that's my plant foot. So I knew that would disable me for a couple of weeks. But this is an injury that feels like it's in the back of my kneecap.
Oh, boy.
And it hurts when I sit and when I stand. I injured myself sitting on a couch.
That's great.
And I sat awkwardly, felt it right away. I had a fine night's sleep, but then when I woke up this morning, ouch. I literally said the word ouch, which I never say. It's like last week when I sneezed and the actual sound was achoo. When I woke up this morning, I stood up and I actually said the word ouch.
Are you sure you didn't say
which nobody
ow?
does. No,
Most
I
people
didn't say
go
ow.
Ouch. Ouch.
No.
I said ouch, and nobody was in the room to hear me.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Did it really happen?
Wow.
No, it did. It did really happen.
Well, this is the problem with the renegade parts of this business. That Greg Cody's Achu now could be his intellectual property because we haven't signed any contracts about how that sound gets used.
Yeah, I said it.
We're a free media thing. All our sound is our own. Now, Greg Cody wants to fight about whether Hee Haw 3 is his or Hee Haw 3 is Meadowlark's.
Did you say we're getting paid for the merch store? I mean, are we getting paid for the merch store? David Sampson just sent me a text. He's very upset. He said, let's go. I don't have all day.
All right. Well, you guys have at it here. All right. Sampson, come on.
This guy
Sampson.
thinks he is.
Yeah, no. Well, Sampson, just you're in charge of the merch store, so I've got chaos on my hands. What's happening now?
Well, the reason why you have chaos on your hands is that you asked me to do this, and then when I call you to tell you that something has to be done, you wash your hands of it, pretending that you're above it and you don't want to upset anyone in your employ. So you play both sides, and then you tell me that I have to do it, and the only way I can reach you is on air. So I needed to do it today. Greg,
strong language.
We go back a long way.
Yes.
And I am sorry for what I'm about to do, but you violated our company policy, and no one's going to say anything, so I have to. And instead of telling you what you did, I was going to sing it to you, though you did not invite me to be a part of Hee Haw 3. So I merely need to deliver this message to you very clearly.
Is that what this is about?
No, this is about money. Clearly only money, not fame, not fortune, just money. Mm-hmm. Dear Mr. Cote, it has come to our attention that you have been selling clothing merchandise using intellectual property owned by Meadowlark Media and Dan Le Batard without proper authorization.
Mm-hmm. That's in dispute.
Oh, we haven't even started.
Okay. I haven't even started either.
This unauthorized use constitutes a violation of our copyright.
Meadowlark
Media and Dan Le Batard hold exclusive rights to the intellectual property associated with our brand and content. Your sale of merchandise without our consent infringes upon these rights and undermines the integrity of our brand. We demand, Greg Cote, that you immediately cease and desist from selling any merchandise that utilizes Meadowlark Media's IP, including, wait for it, Greg, but not limited to trademarks, logos, any proprietary materials, and you don't have 27 hours, my friend. You have 24 hours upon receipt of this message.
Yeah. And then you're going to have me arrested or what?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Failure to comply with this demand will result in further legal action to enforce our rights under copyright law. We reserve the right to pursue all available remedies, including seeking damages, including from Chris, should you be unable and unwilling to pay any financial harm that has been caused by your infringement.
Okay.
So,
may I respond, or are you on a filibuster here? Do I have a chance to respond?
Oh, you will have to respond.
Good.
Can Chris respond?
Confirm in writing.
I'm eager to respond.
I'm ready to
Please
vote.
I object. In writing within 24 hours of receipt of this message that you have ceased all sales of infringing merchandise and that you will refrain from any future unauthorized use of Meadowlark Media's intellectual property.
Okay.
Sincerely, not Dan Le Batard. I asked him to sign this. He refused. Therefore, I'm signing it.
Yeah.
And I do have the authority under Meadowlark Media's umbrella to sign this letter.
Okay, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and if you need it in writing, then grab a pen off your desk and write what I'm about to say. Two things. Number one, the phrase hee haw is my intellectual property, and I am absolutely entitled to sell hee haw merchandise on my website. I have an attorney who will back me up on that. Number two, an unnamed high-ranking Meadowlark executive, dare say ranked above the level of merchandise store clerk.
I did not approve. I did not approve this.
It was not Dan.
I did not.
It was another unnamed high-ranking.
You didn't give me.
There is no one higher than Dan.
You didn't give me time to respond. I responded 27 hours.
Right.
You got to talk to the COO in charge of this. It's the second in command there.
All right. I have.
So it wouldn't have to go up to Skipper, the dumbass merch store. Wouldn't have to bother. Skipper is the most powerful man in sports. You're going to bother him with your merch? With he and haw?
Hee haw 3, my dap. I have text proof that I had
Wow.
at least tacit approval to go ahead with this.
TA.
And so between my intellectual property attorney siding with me and my high-ranking Meadowlark executive in text form granting approval, you have no case, David Sampson.
Wow.
That kind of thing, so forth and so on.
So, Mr. Cote, I appreciate your prompt response, but you missed two very important things.
Yeah.
One, Le Batard AF has been selling Hee Haw merchandise since its inception, and the reason why it is intellectual property of Meadowlark.
They should cease and desist doing so.
Wow.
Well, I would certainly encourage
Yes.
you and whatever
Serve
South
'em up.
Florida lawyer you have.
You have 24 hours, David, to write back to Greg on that one.
Oh, he
Cease
will
and
not.
desist.
Please send a cease and desist to John Skipper
This is
over
good.
our merchandise.
Company
Skip
publicly
it.
fighting over like
What are we
$400 in
gonna do?
T-shirts.
What are we doing?
Great look.
Okay.
We're gonna hire lawyers on both sides to fight over a he and a haw.
Yeah, I don't have to hire a lawyer. I married one. Listen,
Dan, if you want to solve it, you can end this right now.
Yeah.
If you want to
With a vote?
relinquish rights to your intellectual property to Greg and Greg Cody and the Greg Cody Show, by all means, just tell me. I don't have skin in the game because I make the same amount off the merch store as Stugotz. Zero.
Yeah.
You're the one who makes the money off the merch store.
No, I don't. As a matter of fact,
No, I'm talking to Dan.
I coined the phrase "I eat butt all the time." It turns up on a Le Batard Show merch store. My phrase, my intellectual
one of
property.
our biggest
I get
sellers.
nothing.
Damage
I didn't
us.
even get a free
A
T-shirt.
giant
out of
seller.
this.
My hobby.
Said that on this show.
Yes, thank you.
Please keep in mind, folks, that every word that's said when you have a Meadowlark microphone is property of Meadowlark.
Yeah. What if it's my?
All of the
what
ideas
if it's
and
a pet
fun
phrase
bits and
of
intellectual
mine?
property is owned by
we
Dan,
can't
What if I
not
say
by any of
Nike?
you.
Does Meadowlark own Nike?
We can't keep calling.
Contextually, yes.
We cannot keep doing this thing of I eat butt all the time is property that's intellectual.
As is Hee Haw 3.
I'm not going to have this creative
But
company ruined by I eat butt all the time. Is that Meadowlark's or is that theirs? Is he his or is Haw theirs?
Hee Haw is my intellectual property, and I'm going to challenge the audience to rebel against the authoritarian David Sampson by going to the Greg Cody Show merch store or what's
Nope.
it called.com.
It's whatever it's called. .com.
Whatever it's called, whatever it's called.com,
That's not allowed,
and
right?
buying this merchandise.
Whatever it's called.
You cannot promote
wrote
your
it down.
own
Come on.
website on the
Wait
show,
a
Greg.
minute. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Greg
Now
Cody,
Dan's promoting it,
Greg,
David.
you
Whatever it-
can't be so bad at this. You cannot be so bad at
Oh,
this
yes, he can.
that you ask your son the incompetent.
Right. We just bought the phrase a couple of days ago. I haven't memorized it yet.
Right.
I said, what's it's whatever.com.
Did you buy it when you were sitting in that chair? 'Cause
Whatever
then
it's
you don't
called.
own it.
Yeah.
We're going to break your website right now.
I want sales of that show. I'm going to cut without even wanting to or needing to. I'm going to give Le Batard a 5% vigorish of all sales.
What are you doing?
Wait a minute. Video's
He's
from-
taking 100% of your sales.
Video is promoting their website instead of ours, David, because this is what
It's
happens.
outrageous.
This
That
is-
has to be edited out. We are not promoting other people's websites. And Greg, now that you've been warned, any revenue that you get from this live moment on for a Hee Haw shirt, that actually just adds to our
Do you know how much
damages
this
as a
is
company.
worth? Do
Funny.
you know how much this terrain is worth? You just wasted our time with promoting your website and causing me a problem with this guy because we're fighting over he and haw. Come on. This offends Mike Ryan.
And it should.
I mean,
I don't know who this tacit is guy who's just giving approval left and right.
Okay. It's a high-ranking executive.
Is it time to vote
I'm not
or
going to
what?
throw him under the bus.
You're welcome, Greg.
I will privately show the text to
Billy.
To those in my coterie.
how's this
of,
vote going to
respected-
go? I'm just going to have full-scale employee revolt.
I don't know how the election's going to go.
It's fixed.
Wow.
Do you know how hard it is, Samson, to enter a dispute? Stugotz says, sight unseen, I side with Greg Cody, and he leaves the dispute feeling like he's never won bigger.
I'm the little guy. David Simpson represents
Stugotz. Jay Billis is coming through here this weekend to do South Beach sessions. And
Nice.
Jay Billis has built an amazing career from law to being a sort of moral, great voice on a sport through culture wars as ESPN and basketball coverage changed. Jay Billis, everyone knows that guy knows his stuff. When this guy's talking about how it is the NCAA has to be upended, he's so thorough, so factual, so on point without a fact out of place that everyone says, yep, you're a good caretaker for the sport. You're a good voice for the sport. We don't have too many of those. Jay Billis goes on television with a strong voice and is wildly credible. And I've now lived long enough for him to say the most asinine thing he's ever said, which is that everyone who storms a court needs to be cited and arrested and ticketed up.
18,000 citations. He said that would stop it. The very next day.
Jay Billis, listen to me. Jay Billis is the best. Otherwise, Jay Billis is the best. But it doesn't all have to escalate to arrest everyone when a Duke player gets hurt.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Nobody
Right.
now. This is the other thing.
Oh,
Wait,
he escaped major injury. Heavens. We all knew it. Come on. You knew it when you saw it, especially that second angle. He was trying to draw contact. I'm just saying, like, he wasn't hurt. He embellished it. And the reaction was just so out of hand. And I understand, like, something needs to be done. And here's the thing that needs to be done. If you're a 2.5-point favorite, don't storm the court. Wake was favored in that game. You're embarrassing yourselves. And almost as much as Flopowski did. And certainly the coaching staff. And I understand emotions run high. And occasionally we're going to have these conversations. I do actually think something should be done about it. I don't think it's arresting people. Because your school was involved.
But Jay is right when he says that would stop it, right?
No,
I'd agree.
We can't, well, no,
I'd agree.
No,
Well, that's why.
you
wait
want
to know why?
No. It wouldn't. No, because if it's 30,000 people, what you're gonna. If it's thousands of people, you're gonna have so much armed security there.
You know what? You will never see here in South Florida, mainly because I don't win big games, is fans storming the field at Hard Rock Stadium. You know why? Because that's all but guaranteed. We're going to get jacked up by the police down here. This is not some college campus. We can't be doing that stuff, and it's why you'll never see it down here.
But I would say in certain sports, especially college basketball, if you beat Duke, regardless if you're the favorite or not, you should storm the court at home. Because Duke has been so good for so long, and they are so unlikable that when you beat Duke, you want to storm the court and celebrate it.
There should be a protocol because, believe it or not, Miami still has this cachet, especially in football, where they haven't done much over the last 2 decades.
Sure.
And it happens often to them. And I've spoken to players that have been on the field as it's been stormed, and fans have punched them in the head. It's not like you get a drill from your head coach. Now, guys, in the event that we lose, keep your composure, because there are going to be fans like that's a loser mentality, and a coach is not going to prepare someone for it. There should be something in place where you get the best of both worlds, where fans get to have that experience, but you keep players safe. I don't know if it's some sort of clock that's instituted where security just holds the line for as long as they can, and I know that's asking a lot of security. If it's messaging that goes over the PA, maybe that's something. We can certainly do more, and we haven't tried a lot. But part of this is also, Clemson, stop rushing the field when you're a 15.5-point favorite.
The solution is super simple. I believe it happened when Creighton beat UConn. They just had a clock up there. It's 30 seconds. You can play a video on the video board of something with the players saying, hey, hold up. There's a very simple solution. I will say, though, Jay Billis had a great point. I think the woman who hit Caitlin Clark should be in jail. Yeah.
Oh, see.
She kind of sold it too.
She's a trendsetter.
Shut your mouth.
Her influence is undeniable when you see that Duke highlight.
She's trying to make the sport safer for everybody. God, she's just amazing.
I think Billy had the proper perspective yesterday and the proper response. Don't lose. Don't lose.
But they were a 2.5-point dog.
Don't lose.
The netting around the field hasn't really hurt baseball. Just throwing it out there.
No one stormed a baseball field.
It's a
ever.
horrible
Just saying.
overreaction.
Except like the disco night.
Let's
we've
throw a
been-
net up around the basketball court.
No, we've been storming courts and fields forever, and we have 2 bad incidents, and suddenly Bill Self wants to end it.
And it's
I
not
mean,
even that bad. He generates the contact.
It is a bit of a powder keg, though, and you can understand how in our lifetimes something is going to go wrong, and someone might actually get hurt, and there might actually be a brawl on the playing surface. Like we can all see that coming, and I do think that there should be some leadership here in getting out ahead of things. But unfortunately, the governing body may be dead anyways.
Well, let's get to that in just a second. But before we do that, we're all in agreement. Jay Billis, you've been the voice of reason, really, for an impeccable amount of time. Salute to you, master. Respect. But we can't arrest everybody and start drawing up citations.
No, citations take a long
Caitlin
time. Right. I mean, citations take a long time to write up. They
really do, yeah.
18,000 of them.
You bury them in paperwork. Then you're going back and forth like Samson and Cody. You get me an answer in 24
And
hours.
they're out of here.
Well,
Samson.
What if you give away pizza outside right after the game? You're like, we're giving away pizza, but you only have 5 minutes to get it. Everyone's going to want to go get that pizza.
Let me speak directly to the fan here for just a moment. Fan, basketball fan, football fan, whoever you are, you never look dumber than when you're storming a court or a field. Your place is in the stands. That's what your ticket entitles you to. You have no right to storm a court, to celebrate in the stands. Stand up, applaud, high-five your neighbor, chug a beer, stay off the court, because that's the players and coaches'
It'd be
domain.
like if after a good meal we stormed the kitchen. Like, no, we're not doing that.
Celebrate the cook.
That's a good idea.
But what if you didn't expect it to be a good meal? What if you thought it would be a bad meal?
Right.
It ends up being one of the most memorable meals you've ever had.
I mean, Greg's right. It is trespassing.
It is.
You guys are lame. Storming the court is awesome. I know it's dangerous, so let's just put up the shot clock and bam, I already fixed the problem. But my core memories of college, my favorite moments ever, were storming the field after
What's
Iowa
so great
beat
about
Ohio.
it?
Because when Iowa beats Ohio, when Iowa scores 55 points in any game, we have to storm the field. It's just a rule.
Even if you lose.
I do feel like if they put up on the Jumbotron, storm the court in 30, 29, 28.
You have to storm it when
Then
the
you
players are
storm
still
People
on the
love
court.
a countdown
No,
clock.
you
Now I'm
storm
getting
it
all,
early.
now I'm getting all lathered up.
No.
Now I'm going to
People
storm that court
love-
with force.
People love a countdown clock.
I just think it's small town privilege. In Miami, it doesn't happen all that much because we think we're going to get shot.
I mean, that part,
Yes.
Yeah, the cops.
Yes. If you try to storm the field in mass at Hard Rock Stadium,
Billy,
it's going to go badly.
It's not polite campus security.
I mean, I
it's
did do
Miami
it.
police.
Miami
Police
versus
just
Duke.
shoot
I
players on football fields all the time.
They all
I
got
s-
arm sleeves, man.
I
I'm not
start-
judging, but
I stormed the court at Miami when they beat Duke a few years
Get
ago.
shot?
I was the oldest one out there. I'm like, what am I doing? out there?
we I don't think we stormed the court. I think we casually walked onto the court once we won the ACC last year. And it was-
Casually.
That's
yeah,
even
just
more
a casual
pathetic,
stroll.
honestly.
Like, yeah. Well, we're a blue
Checking for
blood.
everyone.
You
We're
rolled
blue
up
blood.
the
We're
chairs,
expected to
you
do
moved them out
this.
of the way.
How does that look? A
A
casual
general
stroll? Are you
milling?
whistling?
Yeah.
or-
Just
A
milling
milling.
about.
Yeah. There wasn't a
court storming, it was
wasn't
a milling.
So the
You guys
verb-
were loiterers
It wasn't
on the
just-
court.
Oh,
In fact,
well,
Coach L had to be like, "Come on, guys, it's okay."
I'd rather be a trespasser than a loiterer any day of the week.
Well, it's just blue bloods carry themselves a certain way. We act like we've been there before.
The technology does exist to electrify the court.
Yeah.
That's
Hear-
true.
Hear me out.
Hear him out.
I'm not talking about something that would be extremely
Nothing
dangerous.
lethal.
Like a dog collar. kind
Right,
of
like a
thing.
dog collar, like
Keep
a,
the dog in the yard.
like a mild
Yeah.
stun gun feeling.
Those-
You would feel a jarring sensation in your feet, and you would have to limp off the court because it would be terrifying to you. Plus, there would be that sound, zzz, like when you
players
a
haven't
mosquito
left
runs
yet.
into one of those.
The players would
things.
then get electrocuted.
No, because
Their shoes would be programmed to not be
yeah,
electrified.
the players
Yeah.
and the coaches would all know,
Right.
clear the court.
Yeah, they
and
know.
then 10 seconds after the game ends, the court is electrified. And all the fans who have stormed the court are having a terrible, unpleasant situation. And guess what?
What?
Next big win, they don't do that anymore.
I like that.
Wow.
Thank you.
Electrocute.
No, Greg is
Patent
onto
pending.
something.
Just like a
Dan,
fence.
Lightly.
no.
Lightly.
No.
Like a raptor paddock.
Wait, so more than beyond the take where Jay Billis is taking it. No, it can't merely be arrest. Let's go beyond that. Electrocute the
No,
customer.
I'd rather
not
get-
electrocute.
I'd rather
Minor
get
zap.
Wait, no, I just want to make sure I got this right. At the time of greatest joy, because we have won as a 1-point underdog against the school that has a reputation, we got great joy. The problem with court rushing is going to be solved right now as we rush for our greatest joy into straight electrocution.
No, not
We're gonna-
electrocution.
our
zap.
home
Just a
fans.
shock.
You're missing the point. You're
Not even
misrepresenting
stunned.
this
Not
intentionally.
It's
Sting,
enough just to get you to go back to the stand.
Greg,
That's
the
it.
technology exists, I believe, and I know exactly how you do it. It's not you electrify the court because then you're going to zap the players, the referees, whoever, right? Or even security if they happen to be pushed on the court. What you do is when they come in, you give them one of those like concert bracelets that change lights like at different songs or whatever. But there's a zapping mechanism in it. They have no idea. They're none the wiser. So they go out there during the game, songs play, the lights are changing. Everyone's excited. Like, wow, this is such a cool bracelet. I'm not going to take it off. You win the game, you go on, and you have one of those secret little dog electrocution wires around the court. They don't even know as soon as they cross that. Bzz, just a little. Bzz,
Yeah, I like that. Billy's thinking. It's
I got-
humane.
I'm a problem
electrocution.
solver.
What about you get whatever's popular in a certain market? Like if you were in Iowa, what's like the best fast food or just like a restaurant that would get everyone super excited? Yeah. Free cheeseburgers outside right now for anyone that first.
I said that.
You did?
He's a pizza.
Steve Martin. Yeah.
Okay, good idea.
I don't watch college basketball with sound on. I'm either at the game or it's on like a second or third television. I don't know what Jay Billis's takes on this have been. But I imagine I've seen games where this happens that he's on the call of and he's not calling for the arrest of people as it's happening. I saw Dan Patrick have a take on this. A lot of this opining that you're seeing on these networks, when they show promos for, Big Monday and the conference championships, they're constantly showing court storming. It's a part of the culture. It is a celebrated part of the culture that is perpetuated by the big television networks, and for them to do an about face is a bit of a bad faith argument. Be part of the solution, and don't just try to arrest people one day to another because your star player decided to fake something.
Just zap them. Lucy, I do want to get into the serious part of this, and we will in a moment in the next segment, because it should be pretty newsworthy that the NCAA has kind of collapsed, fallen to its knees. We should probably talk about this. But before I do so, I just want to tell the audience, Mayday, a local Miami band here, now that I have your attention for just a moment, a band that this show supports, they are asking for the help of the community around them because of some things that have gone weird in the real estate economy down here in Miami as we become the least affordable housing market in the United States.
Did you check with Samson on this?
I did not. No, I'm just trying to help Mayday out, a local band that has supported us at every turn. Just put up on the screens here so that people can help Mayday, a local band. Their music is great. And so if you want to help them out because they're a creative band that wants to stay dirty Miami.
And if you're just listening, you can just search online, GoFundMe Mayday. It'll come up, and they're looking for a new studio.
Thank you.